What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Triumphant Show with Sherida Lovelace. I am your host, Sherida Lovelace. Listen, you just experienced the single that is coming from our guest tonight, Knock Knock, featuring Riza. We're going to get her name correct because that's his daughter, and Veronica Cooper. We're going to talk about this because this is an important issue that we are still dealing with today in society. But before anything, I just want to welcome you again to the Triumphant Show. I am so happy to see you on tonight. Welcome the chat ministry. I just want you all to be able to feel free to message, send questions, whatever you need to do as you are a part of this conversation. Let me tell you, this is the place where victory repeats itself. We believe that God is a victor over and over again, no matter when it looks grim and no matter when we can't see or we don't understand what's going on. We know that we serve a God who is victorious in all things. And so for that, I'm just excited to be here tonight. I don't know about you, but I know some of us have gone through some storms. I'm just getting my voice back. God is showing that he is the victor and has been all along. So I'm super excited about that today. And just because you decided to listen and or watch this broadcast, I believe that God is reaching out to you right now to give you a spirit of victory over your life in whatever area that you know you need him to attend to. I believe it. I hope you receive it and run with it on tonight. God bless you. Listen, this is the year of the breaker. We coined this year as we do every year, but this year, the year of the breaker. We are just seeing God use people, break through some barriers, break through some interferences so that his messages can get out through people, through song, through word, through our gifts and abilities, through corporations. Whatever God has given you, there's a breaker release that has been happening all year. I know some parts of the year seemed a little bit crazy, but God is doing restoration. He's repairing. All we have to do is stay repentant and just watch him do a great work in us. Listen, make sure you are sharing this broadcast on tonight. Know that we are based on 2 Corinthians 2 and 14, the NASB version, which says, "But thanks be unto God, who always leads us in triumph in Christ and manifests through us the sweet aroma of the knowledge of him in every place." I just love that scripture. And I'm just so glad that he always leads us into victory. Isn't that something? It's a beautiful thing. Listen, I want to make sure that you know how to continue to watch, follow us, and share and all that good stuff. If you are following us on YouTube, or subscribe on YouTube. Thank you. If you have not, make sure you subscribe to S Lovelace TV. Listen, you can also catch us on Instagram at Sherida Lovelace. I made it easy. Nothing fancy, just my name, Sherida Lovelace. So make sure if you are not already following us on Instagram that you are at Sherida Lovelace and SL Media Ministry as we upload some of our past media presentations, our past outings, our past events, red carpet, awards, etc. And also, listen, if you or someone you know wants to be a guest on the show, you can have them send us an email at SheridaLovelaceMinistries@gmail.com, and we will be more than happy to hear your triumphant story, your triumphant book, your business, what God is doing in your life, your bakery. I don't know. I mean, we've had all kinds of people on this show, and it has been a absolute blessing. Glory be to God. So I'm excited about it. But listen, don't hesitate. Send us an email again at SheridaLovelaceMinistries@gmail.com to be a guest on the show. We do get pretty packed throughout the weeks, but we will make room some type of way. Listen, again, this is the place where we believe victory repeats itself. And I remember earlier today when I got up after just having my time with the Lord, I just remember God saying purpose. You know, everybody, listen, we all have purpose. I know sometimes it might look bleak. I know sometimes you may not feel like it, or you may see people doing things, but you too have purpose. I want you to grab hold of that as we prepare in a few weeks just to enter the last quarter of the year, to know that you still have purpose. There's still a promise for you, and God is still willing to do a great work through you as long as you are willing and a surrendered vessel. You can do it. You have the tools. God will equip you. And listen, I'm going to share a song from my guest in just a moment. You know, that blessed me a couple of years ago, and I hope it blessed everybody else, because he is no stranger to the Triumphant Show. He is my brother indeed. But listen, I want you to know that you walk your life in purpose, on purpose, and whatever your heart's desire, God will make a way according to his good and perfect will. Isn't that good news? Yes, that's good news. I'm excited. Listen, I had a good weekend this weekend. Shout out to S&M. Um, Gospel Indie Awards. It was great. North Carolina, God bless you. Stephanie McDonald and all those who received and or were honored on this weekend. A great weekend. Shout out to my sister, Shay. She has just been amazing over these last couple of days as I visited as well in North Carolina. So it's just good to have good friends in different places. And boy, did I get a break. And yes, I nurtured this little voice back to life. Let me tell you. So I'm happy to be in the land of the living. And listen, if you don't know the whole story about my voice being taken, follow me at Sherida Lovelace Ministries, Sherida Lovelace Ministries on Facebook. And I have a little clip of a recent message of what that looks like over there. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready? I'm ready. Listen, I'm about to bring my guest in, but I want to give you a quick rundown of who he is. Again, he is not any stranger to the Triumphant Show. He's my friend. I've just watched him through the years. It's been a blessing to just watch how God has moved through his life, how he has never given up on anything despite circumstances. I believe for all of us, we go through our ups and downs, but when we know who our true source comes from, we stay with it and we watch God win again and again and again. And that's truly the demonstrative work that my guest has been doing in his life. We're going to hear about that on tonight. And so I'm excited for you all to hear about that. But listen, I have Florida native. Shout out to Florida. I tell you, every time I get a guest from Florida, that I don't know what it is. Florida, I love you, Florida. I don't know if that means I need to move to Florida or what. You know, California got too expensive. I'm here in Atlanta, but I don't know. Shout out to Florida. My Florida guests are the bomb.com all year. But Florida native who's now, I believe, in Atlanta. I want to confirm he's still here. He's brought you music over the last couple of years, probably about 2 years ago or so. One titled Unqualified, one of my favorite hits, you know, just kind of talking about the fact that man will disqualify you. But let me tell you, God qualifies the call. So if you know that God has placed you in position to do a great work, know he's going to equip you for it. And that comes from him, the source, nobody else. So he brought us Unqualified. He brought us Bounce Back. And he brought us Amazing. Oh my God, if you have not heard the music, I need you to make sure that you go to his YouTube page and we will make sure you get that information at the conclusion of the show. But tonight we have 4G. He's an actor, artist, author, CEO of independent label Grandmaster Entertainment. He's an advocate for social injustice and racial inequality. And if you have not yet heard the beginning of the show, we played the new release, Knock Knock. I'm telling you, you've got to hear it. There are clips of some of the actual the call, but we'll get to that when we bring him on in. He's had numerous accolades to include Holy Hip Hop Artist of the Year, Best New Artist and Male Rapper of the Year. And so with all the things that have been going on with us from pandemic on, the recent situations that's been going on globally, I mean, I think we're still going through some stuff, but the way he thought was best to address it and make sure that he brought awareness to it. I love it. He put pen to pad to address as an advocate. And one of these areas was the tragedy of Breonna Taylor. He teamed up with producer Tara Lee, aka Lady Trauma, and his daughter, I love it, and artist Veronica Cooper. And this birthed a timely song, Knock Knock. Again, if you have not heard it, you can hear it on his YouTube channel, or you can, when the show is over, check out the beginning of the show. We did play it in the beginning, and we're going to talk about these no knock warrants on tonight, because some people don't still understand what that looks like or what that's all about. And so without further delay, everybody, I'm going to bring my friend onto the show. Family, I want you to give a warm welcome to my friend, my brother 4G. Hey,
How you doing, sis?
did I say the daughter's name right?
RZA.
Riza. Y'all
RZA.
see, I was
Yeah,
close, kind of. Amen.
yeah, RZA.
Good.
Yeah,
Listen,
so
I'm glad you're back.
yes,
You've been working. You've been doing it. You know, I'm happy about that. You know, what God has been moving in your life. I want to, before we go into how all this came from the knock knock, from social injustice, I want to talk about all that. But anyone that has not had the privilege of hearing your amazing interviews that you've been doing throughout the country, at one point you were interviewing all over and really shedding light on your music, the ministry, life in the gospel. I want to do a quick rundown about your background, because you grew up in a way that you might call a little dysfunctional according to your words, but you still made it somewhere. But you've been through a situation at a younger age. Share just a brief nugget about the younger life before we get into what we're doing now.
Absolutely. Before I do that, Dale, I definitely want to just salute you for continuing to, grow with me. It's
Oh,
always a pleasure to see somebody who'd been there, from the beginning. My motto is "Let's grow together."
come on.
I appreciate that more, than obviously once I put in the lead work and, you know,
Oh, it's an
people
honor.
could, yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
that. I appreciate you being genuine. So much appreciate
absolutely.
that.
Thank you.
But to answer your question, so I mean, uh, my public testimony has always been, I grew up in a very dysfunctional household,
Right.
very dysfunctional environment as altogether, in and out of foster care, alcoholic mother, father, um, violated when I was 10 years old. Um, I mean, I've
Yeah.
been through a lot. Unhealthy relationships. I mean, the list just kind of goes on and on. And I've gone through the kind of thing, in and out of jail,
Yeah.
uh, prejudged.
Yeah.
Even my church folks. So,
Yeah. Right. Right.
but
Right.
I've gone through kind of things, that the average man or woman would have clearly lost their sanity, But um,
Right.
I know it sounds like a cliche, but God, I mean,
Right.
I would not have been able to overcome any of those obstacles if it
Right.
was not for my faith in God.
Mm,
And let me be very clear, not man. Uh,
right.
Man has failed me time and time and time,
Mm, I
but I
get
know
it.
who I belong to, and God has been there with me. I tell people all the time, He loves this little chocolate brother here.
Come on now. I love it, and I love the fact that that you are able to talk about, or just even just dip, as we just did right now, into the past, because sometimes people don't understand that you may look a certain way. Social media can look one way, but they don't know your background or your life. They may see your picture or my picture or somebody's picture or one of our beautiful chat ministry pictures and think, oh, they got it together. But listen, there's a story behind all this. It hasn't been easy. And so having the ability to be transparent about your story, it's just helping all of us grow and know that we're not alone. So I can say I appreciate that. And it's important to know that we have a source that allowed us to stay moving along, because I know what it means to be failed by man, and God's like, I told you I'm your source. Who are you trying to depend on? So I love that. Hey, quick shout out to those of you that are watching. I see you in chat. God bless you. Thank you all for joining in on tonight. Feel free to put your questions in, because here on the Triumphant Show, we call you the chat ministry. So we're gonna knock on y'all's doors tonight and respond as well. So you've gone to this, you've went through the foster care system. You had parents that had some dealings with alcohol, and points where you were locked up in and out. In the midst of any of those seasons of your life, did you ever get any vision or indication that you were going to, or knew you would, become in the position you are today, making music, doing things, acting, writing a book? Did anything come to your mind? You could have pushed it aside, but did anything come up during any of those seasons?
So there's this one moment that I talk about in my memoir. There's a relative of mine. She's going on to glory right now, but her name was Dorothy, and me and her son were extremely close. Matter of fact, I named my label after him. His name was Edward. When I first started rapping, I used to call myself Fresh J. He used to refer to himself as Grandmaster E. And so that's where Grandmaster Entertainment
Ah,
came from. I paid homage to him. He died 2 days after my 23rd birthday.
wow.
But But so the very first live performance, and I say that term loosely, that I did it in the presence of Dorothy, Dot. And so we were singing "Thank You, Lord." She had the little dual cassette boombox players, the one LLQ Cool J introduced us to.
Right.
She put a little cassette player, and she was basically teaching us how to sing. But clearly, in that moment, God didn't give me the gift to sing, and so I never forget. So it was me, Edward, my cousin, his brother Russell, and my cousin Carlos. They were just laughing at me, just beyond
Mm.
measure. They were just laughing at me. And I never forget what she said to me. She pulled me aside. She said, my question of my legal name is Jimmy, but I don't answer my government name. But she said, Jimmy, she said, it don't matter. She said, you're special to God. And she said, one day he
Mm.
could use you mightily. And in that moment, when she planted that seed, I remember going back to the foster home, it was actually her mother that, took part in raising us along with my grandmother.
Okay.
They kind of tag teamed. But I remember going back, and a lot of times, my auntie had like this screened-in screen porch, and she had a
Right.
little
Oh,
rocking screen
remember
porch.
those.
And so I remember sitting on the screen porch, and it had these little pocket Bibles, and I couldn't, I had no understanding of what the words in there meant or whatever. But I
Yeah.
remember sitting there just reading the Bible or reading the pocket testament, I think is what it was called. And
Ah.
in that moment, my mind was at a young age, I felt like what I was doing was pleasing to him.
Mm, mm, mm.
In that moment, I wanted
Wow.
to please him because of the comment that she made. Because you got to understand, at the time, I had already been violated. My trust had already been broken. And when
Yeah.
she said, "You're special to God,"
Mm, mm,
in
mm.
that moment, there, that was something or someone or just that was a relationship that I needed in my life. So, like I said, even at a young age, for in a
Mm,
crazy kind of way, I understood the importance
mm.
of pleasing Him. And
Wow.
so, some years had actually gone by, because I literally used to sit on this porch talking to God. And I never forget, many years later, back in my home church before I actually relocated here to Atlanta, I was in this line, and this guy, he was giving out prophetic words and so forth. And there's some specific things I was praying for God, talking to God about in that line. And I was talking under my breath. I
Wow.
wasn't talking out loud or whatever. And I'll never forget, I said, I was like, Lord, all those things I used to talk to you about when I was a kid. That
Mm.
man of God came right behind me, and he
Yeah.
said to me, he said, and God told me to tell you that he remembered all those things y'all talked about when you were a kid. I had
Wow.
literally just got through talking to God about it. And in that moment there, it's like there are so many countless stories
Mm, mm,
I
mm.
can just kind of go on and relate to that. I've always known that he was forever present with me. So when I make comments like he loved his chocolate brother, I'm not saying that in
Yeah.
arrogance or it's like
Right.
I know that he got me covered. I know that he has
That's
a hedge
right.
of protection around me. And I know that my storyline could have very much went a different direction if it was not for him.
Right. Right. I love that because it also confirms, when we hear the song Angels Watching Over Me, to me that's what came to my spirit when you were talking. It reminds me that truly angels watch over us, and when they manifest to speak a word to us, or when we see later in life how we've been protected and covered despite circumstances, I mean, it's like, thank you, God, for sending me that hedge of protection. Thank you for sending me ministering angels to surround me, even when I was doing my dirt and my mess. You still had a plan for me. That's where Jeremiah 29:11 comes from, and
Famous
we
scripture.
take some of these words, these scriptures for granted, thinking
Yeah,
that it's just something we hear at church growing up. But I'm telling you, when you begin to speak it and just know it's activated, God will allow you to remember when that He protected you during those seasons. And what you just said was just that.
Yeah.
And so I really love that. Now listen, this is one thing that comes to my mind, and then I want to transition because you've moved into a place where social injustice and racial inequality is also part of what you advocate for. We're going to get into that in just one second, but before we do, I even say this for myself: the streets played a role in who I am today. And when people don't know you, they don't understand why you're passionate. They don't understand why you like no nonsense. They don't understand why I'm not dealing with that foolishness, or I got to go here, or I feel confident about this. I'm not saying every street activity was right, but I can say I grabbed something from those seasons. Give a little nugget about that, because you even though you went in and out the system a minute, something had to happen in one of those times, all of those times, where you say, if it had not been for that, I wouldn't to know how to stand strong or face my enemy or whatever it is. I want you to touch on that for a second.
Well, so the one thing you know about me is I'm I don't really bite my tongue about foolishness. And
That's right.
so I would just say last year in the month of June, I had what I call my coming to Jesus moment. Uh,
Mm,
it was there was an award show I went down to in Jacksonville. Out of respect for the platform, I'm not gonna say the name or anything like that. But so there were some things that went on down there that did not sit well with me. Um,
mm,
there was no integrity in a lot of the things that happened,
sure.
and then it was like even just some of the things that were allowed and accepted just did not sit well with me. And what I'm referring to here is a standard for God's gospel. Um, just
Mm,
an example. So, um, as most of the time the church is comprised of quote unquote non-masculine men. And you know my backstory. I would never. I'm not saying that to offend anyone.
sure.
Because like I said, I was violated when I was 10 years old. So that very same spirit very well could have been on me. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a standard for the music. The things
Mm,
that the churches allow, the church has clearly been compromised. Um, individuals, this one individual
mm,
friend, talking about how tight his girdle was, and the church folks was eating it up, and I'm like, "Are y'all serious?" And then the next day, they up there gyrating on the stage doing the things, and the church folks again, they eating it up, and I'm saying like, "So hold up." So we don't do all that over here, referring to Christian hip hop, but we
mm,
okay with this foolishness right here. And if y'all are saying that this is the standard for God's gospel, I
mm.
don't want anything to do with it. And
Wow.
in that moment there, that changed my life. And I wrestle with it. I like, it didn't change who I was, because I tell anybody, Jesus Christ, my personal Lord and Savior. It's gonna be that way to the day I die. I never
Right.
Jesus Christ. I'm talking about a stand up for music. And I was about 2-3 weeks went by, and I was reminded of the scripture: go out to the highways, byways, four corners of the earth, make disciples after me. And the last
Mhm,
time I checked, the highways and the byways represent the streets. And in
mhm,
that moment there, I had peace. Not even to mention, God also reminded me, like, a minister, a pastor.
yeah.
Just because they don't wear a collar, it doesn't change who they are. You are
Right.
who you are. When
That's
people
right.
listen to lyrics, they know who I am. I'll never change that aspect of my life.
Right.
One thing that I didn't want to do along this journey, like, y'all got to answer to God for this foolishness here. I don't
Yeah.
want a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
again, the in that moment, in my coming to Jesus moment, as I put it,
Mhm,
I learned that the churches have had a tendency to be very selective about the things they allow versus what they don't allow. They'll tolerate
mhm,
certain things, they'll frown on certain things. Okay, like again, a young female goes out and she gets pregnant,
mhm,
and you all shun that young lady rather than love and embrace her. But
mm,
then again, but y'all okay with this foolishness here? You all pick and choose
mm.
believers that you allow.
Wow.
And God's greatest commandment was to love your neighbor like you love yourself. And a
Right.
lot of times, what people don't understand is your neighbor don't always look like you. They don't always share your same beliefs. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest revelation that I got in that moment. And the thing that gave me more peace than anything is what people don't understand is when we get to heaven, and that just could be choirs and quartets or psalms and hymns. It's gonna be rock music up there. It's gonna be country music up there. It's gonna be all genres of music under open heaven. And all y'all, and if y'all are saying that this is the only genre of music that can get people saved,
Mm.
totally missed it. And so
Wow.
I couldn't deal with it anymore. I couldn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is a powerful statement. Lots of transparency, and it makes me think about why we need more women and men to understand the fullness of evangelism, because
That part.
evangelism is not just taking a Bible to and knocking on a door and saying, "For God so loved the world that He gave His own." It is so much bigger
Exact
than that.
word. It's exact
Evangelism
word.
is so much bigger
Yeah.
than that. And the way the world is moving now, we've got to be able to take off certain hats and blinders to see in the spirit realm what's actually happening in our regions and territories, and then strategically move to evangelize in that type of way according to what's going to allow them to listen. And I remember this has been years ago, and I don't even know if I've ever shared this before, but just talking about the transparency of the church and things of that nature. And I grew up in the church. I'm still in the church. I operate the church. I do it all, so it's there. But I experienced a lot. And one thing we did when I first started going into the ministry of evangelism was, I understood dance. And I remember we all used to go, and there was only a couple of us. We went to one of the strip clubs, and we knew the way to reach some of those women was not the way to just kind of say, sis, that's wrong, da da da, da, or whatever, kind of come at them with that. There's always a strategy. And if you don't have that intimate relationship with God to be able to hear the download and the strategy plan for that person, that place, that thing, that region, you're going to lean to your own understanding and evangelize according to whatever you feel is right or appropriate. So in this season, 2022 on, we have to be able to understand how to reach people in ways that may seem non-traditional or may seem a little bit different. But what we do is we bring them in. But what the church is missing, since we're talking about that, is we're missing discipleship after that. So what happens is the world sees us bringing in somebody or questioning who's in the church, etc. We bring them in, then we let them loose and let them go. Well, how do they know how to move and grow and develop and then shed the old for the new if we don't keep that discipleship going? So we have a battle within our own churches that we have to equip leaders even more. And I say that as an equiper and as a leader. So don't nobody come at me. Don't nobody come at me. But what we have to do is possible, but we've got to do some things different. So I appreciate that
Well,
transparency
let me
of
take
it.
it. Let
Hmm.
me briefly let me take it a step further.
Yeah.
From the time we're adolescents, from the time we're like in kindergarten or whatever, is I have a 6-year-old daughter right now.
Yeah.
My daughter come home and she asks me a lot of uh, questions. Like she says things like, Dad, am I beautiful? Blah
Wow.
blah blah. And I know in that moment my daughter is looking for acceptance or validation. And so for
Mm,
the time we are adolescents, we all want to be accepted. So think about it. It's really important to a child to have friends. But then think about when our young men grow up and be teenage boys.
yeah.
They join gangs because they want acceptance.
They want acceptance. They want
When,
love.
when
They,
they go up to when they go to college, they join sororities because they
right.
want acceptance. And
Come
the
on.
one place that has the power to
Yeah.
groom us and
Yeah.
give us this acceptance
Yeah.
has failed us. They failed us because they don't
Mhm.
get it. And I'm
Mhm.
and please hear me with your heart. I'm not saying that's every
Yeah. Right.
denomination.
It's not everybody. Yeah. It's not
And
everybody.
I'm definitely not. I'm not condemning the church as a whole. I'm just
Right.
saying that there are some that have been compromised, and
Sure.
and because of that, it's like God has given me a wisdom where like ah. I'm not gonna be one of the ones to stand before him like, Lord, Lord, depart from me. I don't
Yeah.
remember you. Now we ain't having that conversation because
Yeah. We don't want that conversation.
we're not having that conversation. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
like I said, if I have to go the non-traditional route, and I'm gonna tell you what's even more
Yeah.
funnier, and I use that term loosely.
Right.
Musically, I have gotten more love in the streets.
Mm-mm-mm.
I got more love in the streets.
Now you know I
Uh,
can relate to that.
uh, recently, I've had the honor and pleasure to meet and hang out, with Lil
Yeah.
Scrappy as a prime example.
Right.
What I didn't know initially was Lil Scrappy a PK.
He's a preacher's kid. Yeah.
He's,
Yeah.
he's, a, he's a PK,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
that dude is so humble. He's
Yeah.
so humble,
Wow.
no judgment zone, and like I
Shit.
said, the fact that I know him behind closed doors, I
Yeah.
was like, wow, like this dude realer than most people that say they love God. Because at least I know when I'm talking to this cat,
Yeah.
hey, it ain't no like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
I don't have to figure anything out. He put it all right there on the table, and everything is done in love.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no judgment there, and it's like, and I even see. I've had the pleasure to see, like, man, like people may say one thing about this brother, but God's hand is still on this brother's life.
Yeah.
And
It
it's
is. It is. And it makes me think about, see, when God takes somebody, and I'm gonna tell you, I received a little bit of backlash from this as well. As I was moving in ministry, right before the pandemic hit, a lot of things ceased for me. So a lot of people don't know what some of the things I did that were all churchy, gospel, all the church, everything. When God says, "Let our light shine before men, that they'll see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven," that does not mean that I keep my light shining amongst other light. God revealed to me where I had to go to be a light and the things that I had to do, but He had to make sure I was stable and strong enough to go into certain environments and territory and still know who I am, but also do it in a way that I knew I was sent as well. And so we have to be careful judging people with their gifts and their, I don't even want to say titles because it's a function. Let me school somebody. These are functions when we talk about what God has called us to do. That we have to be careful judging them when God sends them somewhere for a work. We're just the vessels. Our gifts don't even belong to us. So who are you to tell me where God should place my gift? Who are you to tell where God should put your gift and where it should go? God has a work to do for all people. And if we all stay in our little tables and cliques, we're not really handling our greater works business. We're not
I'm,
really getting out there and doing what we're supposed to do. And so when we talk about meeting people that are PKs, like you talked about, Little Scrappy, and that are doing things, we may not agree with everything everybody does or whatever, but half of other folks may do stuff just hidden. But at the same time, you may have had such a profound effect just being in his presence because you carry a light. And so when people begin to understand people's calls, then they can begin to understand, let me just pray for that brother. Let me just undergird that brother. Let me just check on him and see what he need. I see where he's at or see who he's met. Let me make sure his light keeps shining and it don't go dim because he must have a great work to do while he out there on the movie set. That's the mindset that we have to get. So I'm glad you shared that because I mean, I've experienced, I got, folks back home, West Coast, not as probably deep into certain things in terms of the ministry as I am, but the coolest, I'm going to use my daddy's word, the coolest cats ever. Like I could call them in 6 months and they still love on me like I just left Cali. And so I miss that because I don't get that from the church all the time. We're so busy seeing who's doing what and comparing and contrasting. We're missing the mark. And
well,
when God has given us all of these, He's like, okay, I'm going to pandemic you. I'm going to pause you. Get the picture. But everybody got back up 2022 and we act like we forgot. And
well,
we're going back to some of those same ways, so we have to be careful.
even Jesus Christ Himself, when He walked the earth,
Yeah.
He hung out with sinners.
Yeah. Come on.
You know,
Come
and,
on.
and, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so when it comes to a lot of people say things like He's our example.
Yeah.
That's as real as it get right there. Like he
That's as
didn't
real as it
he
gets.
didn't hang around these individuals highly esteemed. Nah, they was about
Yeah.
that life. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and so the more I think about it, and don't get me wrong, like I said, I try to be as respectful as I can
Sure. Right. We do.
across the
Yeah.
board,
Yeah.
but I have
Yeah.
to keep it 100 at the same time too. That we're living in some perilous times right now,
Yeah.
and we have a huge responsibility. And the things of old that worked way back in the 50s or 60s, I
Yeah.
mean, nah,
It
that
don't
stuff
work
don't.
anymore. Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
it's, which brings me to, I know obviously, so we're about to transition into
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
music side of things right now. So right now, I purposed in my heart that all my music that I do moving forward will be music with purpose. And
Mhm.
what's crazy is I would say three of the songs that I've literally on the back burner right now have all
Mhm.
been, I know they were God given ideas. Knock knock.
Yeah.
That idea was given to me a year ago.
Wow.
A year ago.
Wow. Wow. And that was so, family, those of you that are just tuning in, let me give a quick reminder. We are talking to 4G. We're talking about just life prior to what he's doing now. He's no stranger to the Triumphant Show. We are catching up. We're seeing him move in many ways. Writing a book, on the movie sets. CEO of independent label Grandmaster Entertainment. And we're talking about the song we played at the beginning of the show that I want you all to go back and listen to, "Knock Knock," which has been produced by Tara Lee, aka Lady Trauma, his daughter, and artist Veronica Cooper. And I really want you all to hear that. And so when you all did this collaboration, well, first let me tell those that may not know. Are you able to explain to us? Now I know because I served in law enforcement for 10 years. The no knock warrant.
Yes.
Let's school the people about what the no knock warrant is, and why that also came up during the time where we have been dealing with this social injustice. I guess a year or so ago.
So basically, a no knock order is, simply put, is it's an illegal warrant, uh, to say the least.
Right.
Most of the time, and you think
Yeah.
about it, the reason why wouldn't anyone want to announce that they're at your door? I
Yeah.
mean, the devil come like a thief in the
Period.
night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I
Let's put
mean,
that together. Yep.
when I first thought,
Scripture.
I mean, like literally, why wouldn't anyone want to announce their presence? So a no knock order is just that. It's designed to be like a sneak attack on you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, uh, like in the case of the Breonna Taylor, there's been like a few others since her
Right.
that have unfortunately died at the hands of uh, these unlawful warrants.
Yeah.
Um,
And now we're trying to watch our words. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So, but
Yeah.
basically, that's what a no knock order is. It's an illegal. Basically, it's an illegal
Yeah. Yeah.
warrant.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you this song birth knock knock, and it has your daughter on it. How did your daughter end up assimilating into this project? Has she been watching you? Has she already always had the gift? Share a little bit about how that happened, because you have your daughter on it, an artist, Tara Lee. How did that happen? I'm impressed about your daughter being
Well,
connected.
so her name, she changed her name from Gabby to RZA.
Okay.
Initially, I told her, I said, you need to call yourself Gabzilla because she's a monster on the mic. She's
Wow.
a very gifted writer. I offered to write her lyrics. She said, "Nah, I want to do my own." So she raps and she sings.
Come on now.
And like what was crazy, the way she put her verse together. We listened to the same track. I'm saying, how did you get that cadence? We listened to the exact same track. How did you get that cadence
Yeah,
there?
you got and I didn't.
Yeah, right. But um, she's gifted. I mean,
Yeah, that's good.
we talked about it. And we didn't have to talk about it much. She went back. I have to be honest. She did her own research, and everything that you heard, that's
Yeah.
all her. There was no input.
Wow.
There was no input from 4G. That was all RZA.
Amazing.
It was all her. And
Wow.
Veronica Cooper, I brought her in to to just basically perform the hook. I loved her voice, her cadence,
Yeah.
just her skill set. Um, Lady Trauma, I've been getting her tracks for almost like 5-6 years now. Don't Qualify track, I got that from her. We All Matter, I got that from her.
Uh,
Bounce Back, all those tracks I got from Lady
yeah.
Trauma.
Some
So
of my
she's
favorites.
and
Yes.
so and what's interesting about Lady Trauma, her name says it all. So her backstory is she actually lives in Ohio. She's in a
Okay.
wheelchair. She got
Wow.
shot. She got shot some years ago down in Chicago, and she's paralyzed from the waist down. And she's on the road to recovery and so forth. But I told her a few years ago, I said, "Look, I said I'm taking you to the Grammys with me one day. You know, we're gonna
Mm.
go get a Grammy together."
Come on now. Come in agreement with you.
Yeah, we're gonna get a Grammy. She's a very talented producer. Make no mistake about it. And to be a female, her
Right.
her creativity level is just unlike anything that I've ever seen before.
Mm, 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 mm.
Um, I say RZA. She
Mhm.
um she came from straight from her soul.
Yeah.
She talked about scared to hop in my car and move. What do you
Right.
get? But
Right.
she done her homework, and I gave it to you from a male perspective. She gave it
Right.
to you from a female perspective,
Love it.
and
Yeah.
I have sons and daughters.
Yeah.
I have two sons.
That's right.
That a lot of this stuff is real. I would say I used the word personal to me because
Mhm.
a lot of these individuals that have died at the wrong hands, that could have
Yeah.
been my son. That could have been
Right.
my daughter. That
Right.
could have been your child. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It could have
Right.
been one of the childs on here listening.
Yeah.
So it goes without saying that I made it a point that I want my music to be timely and I want it to be done with purpose. And what's crazy is this what really blew my mind. Well,
Yeah.
I do beyond a shadow of a doubt that God was in the mix of this whole thing.
Wow.
4 days after I released this project, they got charged. And I said, the cops got charged 4 days after. And I said, okay, it makes perfect time because
Mm.
had I released this like a year ago, 6 months ago, the timing wasn't right. And
Right.
it's getting all kind of exposure on the radio. These
Yeah.
DJs, they loving it. Uh,
Yeah.
I
And the
just
inserts are actually from the boyfriend's phone call. Am I correct in the song?
the 911 call
The
is
911 call. That's the
actually 911
actual.
call, and the scream on the end is actually
Oh my God.
yeah.
And I
So
think that's what got me. Like I could feel my spirit just drop at the very end. Families chat ministry. Listen, you all have to make sure if you have not heard the song when the show is over, go back and listen to the beginning of the show. And I want you to be able to place your comments, even in the chat to give your feedback. You can also catch this song on his YouTube channel. Tell them what your 4G music, the
4G
YouTube
rap
channel.
music.
4G
Also,
rap music. All of
the
his stuff is there as well. So definitely go back because that ending got me. The scream that really got me. Now let me tell you. Now the artists that you will bring on or bringing on to your independent label, will they be doing the same type of the vibe that you want purpose filled? Will there be a variety of other types of sound that come through your labeling? Because this is somebody may say, listen, I want to reach out to 4G because I think I want to be a part of his label or see what's up. What would you say to that?
So I have a group right now. They're sisters. Go by the name of JM Jazz in Maryland.
Okay.
Jazz just turned 11,
Oh
and
wow.
Maryland is 14. Um, you ever met someone that you just that that have that factor? Jazz has that Michael Jackson factor.
Wow.
Now Maryland is talented as well. They have different skill sets,
Yeah.
but Jazz has that Michael Jackson. Like you can look at that she's gonna be great. Like the
Right.
way she turns it on and turns it off, I'm like who is this? Who is this? And
Michael reincarnated.
so I'm getting ready to release their first single entitled "Who That."
Okay.
It's a girl's
Nice.
album, and my goal right now for the next, I'll say 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
they're gonna need some development.
Okay.
Well, my purpose right now, my goal is to brand them. One of the things, I even told my mother, I was like, look, I said, if you expect to make a lot of money the first year, it ain't gonna happen. I'm not the right guy. I said, but if you trust me and trust the process, I said, I promise you I'll get them to where they need to get to. And everything else is pretty much spoken for itself. But Who That Again is a girls' anthem. We shot a video about 2 weekends ago. I'm waiting for it to complete the editing process. And I'm actually gonna go down to Dothan, Alabama, and we're gonna give them a single release. I'm, you know,
Awesome.
I'm not gonna release the video until that night at their event or whatever, because I want them to get used to the fact that, yeah, y'all may be young. One of the things we talk about in their lyrics is don't despise the youth just because we're young. Like, yeah,
Right.
now I see what you can be.
Right.
I think Barry Gordon saw what Michael Jackson
Look at
was
that.
gonna be,
Yeah.
in his early age. So I'm definitely, my goal ultimately is to transition away from me being the vocal part, at least as an artist, which is why
Sure.
I'm getting into films and things along those lines there.
Right. I see
Uh,
that.
I think, individuals like 50 Cent and Master P kind of figured out early on that, as an artist, you can only, that can only carry you but so long. You have to focus on other endeavors. And so I know I'm not bowing out, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm basically, I'm developing them. So when it does come time for me to actually step away, I know I'm leaving it in the great hands.
That's right. And even while you're doing what you do, you still writing on you working on the book still. And if I'm not mistaken, right, you still working on
Well,
that?
the book is completed. It's in the final.
It's,
It's
it's in the
in the
final stages.
format as process right now to be released later
Okay.
this year. And
Okay, perfect.
of course, like I told you, the movie is gonna actually be it'll be loosely based off the
Okay.
book. I've already got
Awesome.
some mainstream talent attached to it. Once we get the budget to
Right.
complete the film, my prayer is to have that done by years in.
Right.
At that point, it's time to do what it do. And at that point in time, I mean, who knows? I very well may walk away from my 9 to 5. That's
Yeah,
that's
come
my,
on now.
that's
That's the goal. Listen,
yeah.
I just need to put this out here. So, in case I begin to transition myself and take some vocal lessons, I'm going to be family. Y'all hear this, okay? I'm going to be calling and asking to be connected to the Grandmaster Entertainment. We don't know what I'm going to sound like, but just in case I decide to think about working on something, I'm going to be calling 4G right here. So, y'all in my witness chat ministry. That's what we gonna do. But
Hey,
what's so crazy is when I was younger, I used to sing in the choir, and then of course I've had surgery twice on my neck on my thyroid, so that's gone for now.
well,
But
long,
God is
long,
able. Wait,
long,
miracles, right?
long as you make a joyful noise, we might be able to make
Come
it
on
happen.
now, right? I might have to, write some lyrics and
And
rap something.
so I want to tell you about another project I'm working on right now too, because I think one
Yes,
of my sisters is on the line right here,
yes.
Sharifa Diane.
Hi,
Uh,
Sherida. Where are you?
Sharifa Diane, I think she's on the line. So,
Okay,
but
good.
she and I did this project called My Fatima off the TV show
Mm,
Sisters. And so going back almost like a year ago, I said to Sharifa, I said, well, I'm sorry. So yeah, I was kind of having a conversation with Sharifa. I said, hey, Fatima, a hot topic. I said, I'm gonna write a song about her. It wasn't even 2, 3 weeks later, they announced they're doing a spinoff of Zatima. And she was like,
wow.
whoa. And in that moment there, look, I told you, I know God is giving, there's no way I can know this stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's on a side note, so uh me and Scrappy were working on this joint called Ready to Rumble.
Mm, okay.
He boxes in his spare time. I didn't know that.
Okay.
I never
I
knew
just have to
that.
laugh
I'm
because God is funny.
But so
Yeah.
we completed the joint by Fatima. I'm actually trying to get it into Tyler Perry's hands right now because my prayer is that it, as
Come on now.
the intro to the spinoff for Fatima, which is scared
Yeah,
the
that's airing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's my prayer for that there. But tell you something that's pretty cool. So in my film, one of the characters that I actually wanted to pitch one of the major roles to was Bishop T.D. Jakes. And
Wow.
one of my homies, uh, he gave me his media passes to the Woman Don't Lose conference
That's
next
coming
month.
up here in Atlanta.
Gave me his
Yes.
media pass to say, hey, him and his wife out to bow this year. They, going to be celebrating the anniversary. So
Look
he
at
gave me
that
the media pass.
access. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
I love how you're sharing this
yeah,
because, family, if you're listening, I love that you're sharing this because it lets us know, family, listen, at the beginning of the show, I talked about purpose, that everybody has a purpose. God has something for you. You don't have to look at nobody to the left or right. You are filled with purpose. And when you walk in that, God will put people before you. He will give you access into places you thought you couldn't go. He will allow you to meet people that will help undergird you, and he'll even make your enemies your footstool. And so be confident to know that if you keep seeking God, you stay in prayer, you stay humble, and you stay committed to your craft, that God will place you before great men. He'll do great things. He'll open doors for you that man cannot shut with word, deed, or mouth. He will make sure that his assignment that he has for you, God will make sure it gets accomplished, because that's just how God works. That's why it says many are called, but few are chosen. Some people think they're chosen, and they may be, but they haven't accepted the fact that you have to surrender so much when you want to go and really let the work get completed. And that's why more people could be used for the kingdom now, but there's a lot of judgment going on. There's a lot of competition, jealousy, things that have nothing to do with kingdom. And so that hinders progress for non-believers to understand believers, and for believers to grow and go deeper into their walk and their assignment to nations, to countries, to regions, to families, to your backyard, because these things have infiltrated our atmosphere, our industry, etc. And so I tell you, 4G, I'm glad you're sharing these different things who you've been connected with, these doors that have been opening for you, and that you keep repeating that your source has been him. It's been God. Because I want tonight someone to understand, and when you leave off this show tonight, that whatever the purpose that you know God has infilled, put in your spirit, the desire in your heart, that you just say, God, you know what? Orchestrate my steps in this. Give me the strategy. Whatever where you've been somewhere, been doing something that hasn't been right. This is a season where God said, you repent, but then I'm also going to restore you. And so I just feel that people need to keep hearing that. That's why 4G, they say, let your light shine before men, so that they can see the good works that God does through you and glorify God in heaven. And the word also says that, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, it's then I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sins. I'll heal their land. Do y'all understand what it means to be healed in the land? Healed in the land means that we don't have to worry about some of our children turning demonic. Healed in the land means that we're going to have an overflow when we go into the workplace. We won't stay here, but God will elevate us because we've humbled ourselves for him, so that he can use us into the place and the avenues he's called us to, without the bitterness, the competition, the jealousy, the judgments, and all the things that are not even part of God's plan. We got to stop pimping God, pimping the kingdom, and pimping his name, and be able to know where we're sent. That's where he sends us, and we go. It's called being chosen. That's where we go. And so I thank God for you sharing that.
Well, one of the things that as you were speaking that just came to me also is there's a lot of individuals that feel like um, you can't make it without them, or you can't get to another level without them. And
Not true.
I've always been told, and Bible the scripture clearly says that God will share his glory with nobody. And I can sit here and honestly say that no one can take credit for anything that God has done
Mm,
for me up to this point.
my God.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Uh, you notice a little post I did a couple of days ago. I said here first. So, Lil G, I grew up listening to him. Uh, so, lead singer of Silk. And so
Yeah.
I met him at a play. I want to say like a week or so ago, or something like that. Connected with his manager, and he's into acting and things along those lines there. And he's the second or third mainstream individual that's agreed to be giving me a letter of
See,
intent to be a part of my movie.
look at that. Look at that. People that
And,
are already in there.
right, and what's crazy is, um, so Tasha Page Lockhart, she and I had a conversation some months ago, and her husband had given me a prophetic word. He didn't even know who I
Mm,
was. He didn't know I did music or nothing along those lines. That he
okay.
said to me, he said, uh, around this time this year, he said, you're gonna meet this R&B artist. He said it's gonna basically go from basically you put in your blood, sweat, and tears, your resources. He said, but people finna go from paying you, they're finna start paying you
Right.
for the music that you're doing.
Look at
And
that.
the moment that she sent me over the letter of intent, she asked me, she said, do you plan on doing a soundtrack? Because I actually plan on doing two. And that light bulb went off in my head like, he told me this was going to happen.
Right.
He told me this was going to happen.
Look at that.
I had already said that I was going to do one soundtrack, a compilation for the actual film. And then, obviously, I'm not releasing my album, Emotions, until that actually come out.
Yeah.
But my point is that these are all relationships that God has allowed me to cultivate. Nothing,
Right.
no one's given me. Like, and even those individuals, it was brought to my attention here recently that an individual that I thought genuinely loved me back told
Mhm.
another individual that they weren't going to extend their hand to help me.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, wow, I didn't know they felt that way. Like, I
We
thought we
can't do that.
were cool.
We
But
can't do that.
I love you. I still
Right.
love you,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as a result, look, God already knew. That's why he's allowing these people to cross your path and opening these doors for you. Family, I just want you to be encouraged by what you're hearing on tonight because God has that plan for you. And I get so excited about stuff like this. And I'm also serious about how we move in our gifts and abilities, that he's given us. We got so much going on. I saw a post the other day on Instagram, and I know we're about to wrap up the show. Y'all hang with me. Y'all, I'm going to play his song at the end as well, because I want to make sure those of you that are on that y'all hear it. I saw a post the other day about there's a new pronoun that's going around in the schools that deal with demonic, having the character of a demon. And it's going to get out more, but that just shows you what's happening in our world and why we have to take our gifts seriously to a point where, like you said, 4G, there's purpose, that it's bringing awareness. It's being able to go wherever God sends you. I mean, you said it. And so we want to walk in that place knowing that whatever we do, put some purpose behind it, and don't give up. And don't be afraid to go where God is sending you. Don't worry about, what people think or say. You go and let your light shine, 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 and let God do the transforming work. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about that. Listen, I will play the song tonight before we wrap up. Family, I'm going to play it, so don't leave. 4G, I want you to give us a final quick word of encouragement, something for us to leave on. When you've come to the show before, you've done it before, you've been amazing. We're following you. Make sure everybody knows how to keep connected and following you. But leave us with just a quick nugget of encouragement, a word, because you're doing some great things as an artist, as an actor, as an advocate. Just all that you're doing is just amazing. And so we want to, one, be able to support you, follow you, keep praying for you, but also receive a quick nugget from you tonight before we play your song as we close out the Triumphant Show.
Absolutely. So my favorite scripture is actually Jeremiah 29:11. Obviously, God knows I respect it in. Um, I actually use that scripture in quite a few of my songs. Um, God does know I respect it in.
Yes.
And that's the one thing that has always and continues to motivate me. Um, I would just encourage anybody out there that no matter what you have come up against, uh, be resilient. You know,
Mhm. That's right.
understand that no man can validate you, no woman can validate you, only God can validate you. Um, I mean, there's a little acronym I use around the house that I can't say on the air, so I'm not gonna
Uh-oh.
say
Don't
it.
say.
Uh, but my point is, like, no man or woman can validate you. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Understand that people, jobs, places, and things along those lines, they're just resources. God is your source.
Mm,
It's really
mm,
that simple. Most people, they
amen.
feel like they rubbing elbows with this person, that person. I'm I'm connected. Nah, they
Yeah.
just a resource.
Amen.
God is your source. And again, just be resilient and understand no matter what comes your way, what adversity or whatever, what people say about you,
Mm,
I mean, hey, you have the gift of choice. You can accept that foolishness or you
yeah.
can denounce it. You know what I'm saying? I'm always passing the side. You're not speaking on negativity over my life. And
Amen.
your opinion don't matter to me anyway. So I mean at the end of the day, it don't matter one way or the other.
Yeah.
And last but not least, understand that ain't nothing you can't bounce back from. I don't care what it is.
Come
I
on
mean,
now.
I'm living proof. Like I
So
should be dead in jail, in
yeah.
some sort of mental asylum or something like
Come
that.
on now.
But
Yeah.
God is definitely faithful. So
Yeah.
if you understand that as long as you're covered by Him, you good.
That's right.
Really, I mean, it's really that simple. You're
That's
good.
simple.
Nothing
That's
else
it.
matters.
That's
They
it.
don't have no heaven or hell to put you in.
Yeah.
You're not
No.
standing. You're not standing before these men or women on Judgment
Fair.
Day. You
Yeah.
have one individual to answer to on Judgment
That's,
Day. That should be
yeah.
your focus. Bottom line.
That's it. Period. Period. Point blank. And family, with that being said, I hope y'all took some notes. If you did not, you can rewind this show, write it down, meditate on it tonight as you prepare to sleep so God can minister to your spirit so that you can only follow the source, in terms of knowing where your help comes from and where your destiny fuel comes from and just keep going. 4G, thank you so much for your triumphant, transparent story on tonight. I always love it when you come and visit the platform. I know we're going to see you again. We're going to see you on the big screen. We're going to hear some more music. Family, y'all have got to follow him. Oh, before I play your song, tell them how to follow you.
You must have read my mind there. So, so my website, 4grapmusic.com. That's the number 4 letter G, rapmusic.com. 4G is my name. Rap is what I do. Music. 4G Rap Music. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Check me out.
Same. Amen. All right, family. And before I play a song, remember if you or someone you know wants to be a guest for the Triumphant Show, you send us an email at SheridaLovelaceMinistries@gmail.com, and one of our team members will get back to you. We have some things coming up, not just this year, but 2023. We are building our triumphant team. So shoot us an email and let us know what you got. We want to hear from you. All right, we are about to play Knock Knock Family. Thank you for joining the Triumphant Show on tonight. May God bless you abundantly, richly. May his face shine upon you. Have the best week ever and claim the victory in everything that you do on this week. We'll see you in just a few moments.